the tilt.
The inside of Coates.
Parker gets too heavily involved.
And that's Whitehead and Coates.
Hello everybody, welcome along. It's another Wednesday. It's the penultimate Wednesday of our CAMMUS JCW Mini Cup powered by Phoenix Racing. Richard John Neal here with Jack. Jack, haven't had a chance to say proper hello to you yet this evening off there. Hello, how are you?
Yes, I know it's a bit of a shame, Richard. We weren't on for too long before we went live, were we? But I'm very good. I'm looking forward to a night of racing at a track that I actually know something about, at Thruxton. A very, very scary track. Not one I did particularly well in real life, but one that I did quite enjoy, actually. It's rare those two actually mix. But it should be pretty exciting, and the championship coming to the crunch time now. Really, really good to see that all the drivers who are sort of the antagonists and protagonists are all very quick with each other. We can actually have a look at how Anglesey, we left Anglesey with Elliot Dalton Ayres picking up the most amount of points. That's not entirely surprising if you actually watched last week. He came home with a first place and a second in race number 2, so he did remarkably well considering there was a massive pile-up at the beginning of race 2. He managed to squirt his way through. Brad Smith came home second most amount of points. A bit of a resurgence from him. Strong early start to the championship, a bit weak in the middle, but he seems to be finishing it just as strong as he started it. And finally, Nicky Taylor, who won race 2 last week, again somehow managed to get through the melee at the beginning and get into the lead relatively early on and drive away into the distance. We thought he wasn't actually going to have much of a chance, Richard, did we? Beginning of race 1, that was the whole sort of narrative we were building Anglesey on, was the fact that Nicky Taylor didn't seem very fast. He wouldn't pick up many points, but you know what? Right place at the right time, he still picked up those points.
Yeah, I think some of them were taken away, however, weren't they, in the post-race judicials. He was down looking at the results yesterday. There's a 5th and a 4th from Anglesey, so it's actually put Joel Lass back at the top of the table. We'll come on to the table in a moment. You were saying about Thruxton being scary. The scariest thing about Thruxton for me is the toilets, but we'll come on to that because they are a little bit of a state by the end of a race weekend. Never mind, enough of toilet humour or otherwise. Here is the championship table. Joel Lask leads by 4 points from Nicky Taylor. Not the way we left it last week due to the judicials. Elliot Dalton Ayres is up into joint 3rd place with Brad Smith, tied on 166 points. Andy Carroll 5th, just 16 points back. Then Josh Martin, still with his handbrake off now. Tom Churchhouse in 7th from Craig Curtis and Chris Blakey. And the top 10 rounded off with Nathan Smith on... He didn't start last week, sadly, for Nathan. 11th is Johnny Ogden. Then it is Paul Laramie, followed by Lee Piercy. Kenny Press, looking very quick today. We know why. Are we allowed to say why? I'm not sure. He's going very well today in practice. He's got a faster processor now. And boy, that's really helping him out. So we're seeing Kenny's true form coming through in practice today. 15th is Thomas Potter. We've got a couple of Thomas Potter fans watching, Dudley and Jazz. Hope you feel better soon. Hope you enjoy the race coverage this evening. Cheering on your man, Thomas Potter. He's in 15th. John Higgins is 16th from Adam Lyland. Sam Milner 18th. Stu Henderson is in 19th position. 22 points. That's the 20th place, John Jones. 21st, Stanford Radu. Then Sam Walton. Simon Thorpe is next up from Dave Heasman. He'll be looking to try and get on the sort of upward sweep on points again today. Then it's Matt Smith, followed by Alok Iyengar, Mark Stokes, and the 2 non-scorers, not with us last week, sadly, Stuart Vickers and Julian Owen. So that is our champion table. And here's your track map. Always looks like a Stetson hat to me, but this is what we're going through, pretty much flat out once you go through the fiddly bits.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's about 2 braking zones, isn't there? And a lot of people may argue that means only 2 overtaking opportunities, but trust me, it's very, very exciting. You know, going into Club, going into Campbell, both great opportunities, but you're right on the ragged edge for the entirety, and I think we can actually have a look at a hot lap thanks to Andy Carroll with Richard John Neal talking us through the chaos that is Thruxton.
Much chaos as a real-life truck meeting where we had half an afternoon wiped out last year, very, very sadly. But let's have a look. This is one of my favourite tracks in the country, Thruxton. I've got to say, it's not too bad a journey to go down from London. Here's Andy Carroll. He's going to take us on a lap round the right-hander at Allard, past the pit exit, and then sweeping around the left curve, taking us up towards the first of three corners in the bounce, which we call the complex. The first is called Combe, all of them named after land speed record holders. Second part, the left-hander, is Combe. And then finally we go out, take the apex at Seagrave, turn 5, then head out of that into the country effectively. And as Jack said, pretty much flat out now as we go through the left kink at Noble, then heading through into the first of three very fast sweeping linked corners, the first of which is Goodwood. Then we go round into Village. You're going to probably see some cars going side by side around these corners if we get some brave moments here, and then into Church, final part of the right-handers before we start to head uphill. The left curve is called Brooklands, and then you can actually see the gradient here. This is Woodham Hill heading up towards the club chicane. Another overtaking opportunity here. No doubt we'll be trying to get 16 cars side by side through this chicane. Missing the tyres here. Great lap as we exit the club chicane, cross the line. That's where the checkered flag will be out. Will it be out for our driver Andy Carroll, who gives us a 1 minute 20.05. That is a lap of Thruxton, the real life JCW. Don't come here. The Cooper variants we have supporting us on the British Touring Car Championship, and I know they very much enjoy their annual visits to Thruxton.
They do indeed, and everybody enjoys Thruxton, whether they come down to watch or drive it. But you didn't think we were going into qualifying just yet, did you? We've actually got another piece of advertisement to shove right in there just before we go into qualifying. And that's, of course, the next major championship. We are nearly done with the minis. We're sort of building that up over the next 2 rounds. We have a bit of World Endurance League, but then we go on the May the 1st. We go into our BMW Cup. And it does look to be on already pretty much full grid. 25 cars have already signed up. I think there may be spaces, or might be a waiting list, it might be a reserve list. Let's hope that they can extend it a little bit and make the grids a bit bigger. That's what I hope anyway, but I'm sure Rich is probably telling me off in the chat right now. Round 2, Mugello. Round 3, Assen, Spa, Oschersleben. I think that's how you say that. And a few other tracks as well in there. Before we head over to the qualifying, let's have a look at the prizes. First place, and this is the biggest note of change from this championship, triple 27-inch monitors by Aegon display, and they are fantastic. They're going to be epic to set up on your setup. And we've got a few others, you know them by now, the Mecha Cup gear shifter, and a few bits of caps and t-shirts and everything like that. Looks absolutely epic. So that's the BMW Cup coming up on May the 1st.
Great prizes from everybody, isn't it? The virtual reality racing club really delivering on that. Don't mention, I hope my son's not listening about the triple screens, otherwise he'll want an entry and we'll want to be in there and trying to win that and more ball space in the house, which we really cannot afford. Qualifying, though, is underway already. Who's it going to be today? We've had quite a few different pole setters, but over the last couple of rounds, Andy Carroll has been man to beat in terms of poles. And certainly the pace he showed on our hot lap means that he could well be one of our favourites here to grab another one in this, our penultimate meeting of the season. Brands Hatch GP, of course, next week. And a good entry again this week, by the look of it, which is great to see. Josh Martin with his handbrake off again this week. I won't say that one anymore, Josh. We'll let you crack on with the bits. Okay, I'm going to crack on and ask Jack, who's your tip for pole this weekend?
Oh, that's very difficult, isn't it? I mean, I didn't have too much of a look at the practice times. I never do at Thruxton, mainly because in qualifying, it's actually about track position, really, isn't it? It's about who you get the slipstream off and where you can sort of place yourself and where the momentum goes. And in practice, that there's a whole host of different factors that they could have affected their times. So realistically, I wouldn't expect Josh Martin to be on the top. Nicky Taylor. He had 40 kilograms of ballast on board, I believe, because he's not quite top of the championship. He's 4 points behind Joel Lask. So I believe that means Joel Lask has 45 and Nicky Taylor has 40. So Brad Smith in third. He's third place in the championship, arguably. Now he's tied in third with Elliot Dalton-Ayres. Of course, didn't even turn up for the first 2 rounds. So Richard, the fact that he's carrying a DNF, a missed round, and he's still in third in the championship is absolutely mega, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the top 3, Taylor, Lasker, Smith. And then Thomas Potter doing a little bit better than what we're used to seeing him recently. Nice to see him up there. And all of a sudden, he gets put from 4th to 5th because there's that man, Elliot Dalton-Ayres, in 2nd place now.
Yeah, the Flying Teapot still running well in 5th with some added power of his 2 viewers, Dudley and Chad. So will him on, guys, will him on. Let's see if we can keep him up there in the top 5, maybe get him up onto the front row. So Nicky Taylor and Elliot Dalton-Ayres 1 and 2. There are now, we're being told by Rich Hayden, drivers being looked at in terms of cutting the track. If they do that within qualifying, then there will be penalties applied. So the drivers have had the Riot Act basically read to them in the drivers' meeting. If you're watching for the first time, I need to say that this is as close to real-life racing as you can get, particularly with the officiating. And it's the thing that really surprised me when I came onto this platform a couple of years ago when we had the JCW Cup during lockdown, is the fact that there is stewarding and a lot of time is spent over it. So if you're thinking about coming in and wondering whether this is policed, yes, it is. You know, come and have a go. Even if you're going to be languishing down the bottom, just come in, get some practice. And I can assure you that the regulations are tight. The policing is tight as well. It's very, very well worth coming into.
Absolutely, yeah. It's it used to be sort of live steward, but now since things have slightly changed, the structure of it slightly changed, and effectively now it's post-race penalties that can get applied. And you do see quite a lot of them. On a Monday, they have a briefing where basically Rich goes through all the penalties, and I think he advertises it as a discussion, but it's more of a this is what happened, and this is the consequence. So yeah, but each and every driver obviously gets a bit of a dressing down, shall we say, if it's something really malicious, or they get a bit of advice if it's something that's potentially a bit of racecraft that they haven't learned just yet. Say if they're too young or inexperienced on the sim or something like that. Every so often, you need a little bit of a helping hand, and that's exactly what we like to do here at VRRC. Because you're right, if drivers are coming in from real life racing into the sim racing, they expect a certain standard. Now, Oulton, I wouldn't say, if you're doing that in real life, cutting the first corner all the way across the grass, almost on the exit of the pit lane, you would probably be having a dressing down in the clerk's office. But we'll have to see whether he gets the telling off or not for that one. Nicky Taylor on top of pole position. Elliot Dalton-Ayres only less than a tenth of a second away. The biggest one, Richard, is Kenny Press. You mentioned him being quick in practice, but he's 3rd place at the moment. That is, I've never seen Kenny Press in 3rd place on anything other than a reverse grid. I don't think you'll mind me saying. So that is truly astonishing.
Yeah, got a proper processor, I think, on board now. We were hearing, which is absolutely going back to the Mondays. You know, we were saying about the discussion. I don't know how many people on the broadcast this evening remember the football manager called Brian Clough. If you haven't heard of Brian Clough, go and Google some of his quotes because they are absolutely legendary. But I was reminded of when you were saying Monday night is a discussion, and Brian Clough used to have them with his players, and he said basically we'd have a discussion about what went wrong and then decide that I was right.
Yeah, basically that's how Rich lives his life. To be honest.
Do love a bit of Cloughie. A real gentleman, apparently. One of my colleagues that I work with on touring cars did a documentary about him and said that he was an absolutely lovely, lovely man, a real character. Anyway, back to the qualifying. We've got Taylor still there, Elliot Dalton, Kenny Press still 3rd, Josh Martin 4th, Craig Curtis, Joel Lass down in 6th place. Now remember, 6th position, if this were a race, would be 14 points. Nicky Taylor would be on for 25. That's assuming that nobody's cut any corners so far. So Nicky Taylor here is doing well as Andy Carroll goes into P2. So things really changing around, but we've still got 7 minutes to go as we look at Paul Laramie in the 31 machine. Pedaling hard, he's in the top 10. Thomas Potter in 11th at the moment. Still not too bad for Thomas. Nice to see Nathan Smith back with us this week as well. He's currently running in 13th place. But Nicky Taylor has really thrown down the gauntlet early doors. Nicky Taylor style, we're used to seeing him do that. Love this shot here. I actually watch in real life on the inside as the cars come in to the chicane on any meetings that I go to. If I'm not physically commentating on races, I'll stand and watch there. It's a super place to watch, as is the main grandstand on the exit here where the cars are coming out. You just see it in the back of the shot there. And Thruxton is as basic as it looks here on the simulation, isn't it?
Yes, it absolutely is. The garages are tiny as Nicky Taylor extends his his pole position by 0.3 of a second past on Andy Carroll. I'm just going to very quickly, I will sort of go on to your topic of conversation there, Richard, in a second. But Rich, is there any track limit on the inside of the final chicanes? Yes, but yeah, so there we go. Yeah, so it's a little bit difficult, isn't it, Richard, to sort of monitor the cutting of the inside of the chicanes. As we sort of saw, we cut to Nicky Taylor there, and all four wheels and then half a car was all over the inside. So the way the penalties are actually going to be distributed today is Nicky Taylor, if he is deemed to have put that fastest lap in, and he is on pole position, he will start the first race in pole position. But let's say his actual fastest time was putting him 10th place. His actual legal fastest time, I should say, is actually in 10th place. He'll actually have 10 places taken away from him after race number 1. It gets a little bit complicated. As I said, Rich is the person who has to do all that sort of thing, not us. But either way, Nicky Taylor, very, very quick for the time being. Let's put that with a little bit of an asterisk, because that did look like a very suspect cutting. So, to get back onto Richard and what you were saying, the garages are tiny. The facilities aren't as bad, but that building we can see there isn't as bad, but everything else about it is proper rural, isn't it?
It is, and I made the comment about the loos, and to be fair, they're spick and span and clean as anything when you get to the circuit first off. But you know, the amount of people that are traipsing in there over the course of 2 days. If you're going to go to the circuit on a Saturday, spy advice if you're just going to have a casual visit, and particularly touring car weekend, probably a bit cheaper if you can just afford the one day, and it'll be a little bit quieter in terms of the people there, so you'll be able to get up close and personal with everybody in the paddock and chat to the drivers. But I hope we do get to see some of you down at Thruxton this year. Mega track, they're investing a lot of money in it. As you said, the Thruxton Centre we could see there is a lovely place to go and get a bite to eat, and also have a little bit of a watch from the racing. It's just on the exit of the first turn, the exit of the pit lane, which is right next to the assembly area. We get a really good look at the cars as they get ready to go out, which is good. Joel Laskin 5th now, Josh Martin in 6th position. Ahead of them, Nicky Taylor still at the top of the stack with Elliot Dalton-Ayres in 2nd. Andy Carroll 3rd. Kenny Press still up there and at the sharp end in 4th place. Kenny Press's best result so far in this campaign, 6th position, which was week 2. That was one of the ones I missed at Silverstone. 6th place for him there, and he's been in the top 10 a couple of times since, once at the Combe configuration meeting, and then race 2 at Oulton Park. But all of his decent results have come in race 2s. But here, Kenny's turning it around and could be on for his best finish in race 1, fastest off the front. So good progress for him, and great for us to see that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think that'll be Kenny's best result in race 1, full stop at VRRC. If he is able to stick around the top 5 and everything like that, he has absolutely turned the wick up. And we've mentioned that he's got a faster processor. That doesn't make his car faster. It doesn't mean you have to go out and get your car a little bit faster on the sim or anything. What it means is that you can run at over 60 frames per second. And that basically means it's a refresh rate. It's very complicated, but you can see more of what's happening as Elliot Dalton-Ayres gets a big bump. Gives a big bump up the backside to another driver. Everything's a bit smoother. It's almost as if you blink your eyes at 30 times. It's very complicated. I'm not going to bother Richard, but it basically means everything's smoother. He'll hopefully be able to see what's going on, and in the race he might not get caught up in as many incidents, and the corners don't come as much of a surprise, put it that way.
Yeah, if the information's getting to his brain quicker via the screen, he's going to be able to deal with it easier, isn't it? So,
basically, yeah. Why didn't I just think of saying that?
You did. I love the little bit of re-tarmacking on the corner. I just love the detail that goes into these simulations. You know, even to that little bit of and there as well on the exit of that corner. Absolutely fantastic stuff. As we look at Lee Pearcey down in 12th place at the moment. Thomas Potter still in 11th, which is let me see. It's his 3rd best qualifying at the moment if he stays there, which is not too bad at all. Taylor quicker again.
Well, we've seen Craig Curtis actually go up to 3rd.
Oh, he's up to 3rd, yeah.
Wow,
Taylor, Elliot Dalton, Craig Curtis in 3rd. 1 minute 47 on the clock. Now, do I risk starting to write down the names for my sheet for the start of race 2? Because normally when I do that, as you know, we get some changes. So
I wouldn't, because Kenny Press has just gone purple sector 2, Richard.
Yeah, come on, Kenny. Let's get it up from 6th position. Let's see what he can do. He has, isn't he? Wow, he has. Very quick sector 2. And we're with Kenny. Yep. Yep, there was definitely a suspect of track limits there. Let's see where he goes. Remains in 6th position. And again, reality is very much like this. The drivers, particularly at the chicane, there is always a debate about what is legal and what isn't at the chicane. Always with the Clios going back in the day. Clios, of course, on the touring car package were the forerunners of the JCW Minis. Hearing really good things about the JCW Mini Challenge for this year as well. They've got their JCW Sport car coming. I think at least half a dozen of those are going to be on the grid as well. Which takes us into a sort of new era for them. So excited to be looking forward to that. Josh Martin P2 at the moment. Elliot Dalton-Ayres is 3rd, and we ride following Elliot Dalton-Ayres around.
We do. You just mentioned the Clio Cup, didn't you? I think that, Richard. And
yeah.
When you mentioned it, I was like, that was the championship that came before the minis, like you just said, and then it disappeared. But I actually remember I was walking around the auto sports show, and through another business of mine and everything like that, we were asked to do a bit of coverage for the Clio Cup, and I thought, well, where on earth is that these days? It's on the MSV club, apparently. The MSV track sort of championships that they put on. The Clio Cup's making a bit of a return, so that should be quite exciting.
New gen.
Sorry?
Yeah, the new gen car is out there. I think it's slightly cheaper than the old one, which was, I think, the way to go. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how that pans out.
Yeah, no, fingers crossed. It'll be quite exciting as the checker flag has dropped. Elliot Dalton-Ayres and Josh Martin have both crossed it. Nicky Taylor hasn't, but I don't think anybody's really going to be troubling him because nobody seems to be improving, Richard.
No, for sure. Dave Heaton's done well, hasn't he? He's got an 8th place. That's going to be his best qualifying. So well done, Dave. He's going to be Dave. Looking forward to the BMWs. Do we know? His native championship, so to speak. He's signed up for that, which is all the BMW boys. So it could be it's by public demand, isn't it? That series. Paul Laramie goes there. We ride with him. He's in 9th position. Brad Smith still 10th, and Tom Potter in 11th, running well. Had a little exchange with Team Tom earlier on today about getting practice in, and they were hoping that Tom didn't have too much homework so he could get some practice in. He's got his priorities exactly right, as young Tom. I don't know what time he started because I was a little bit late on parade myself today as we watch Andy Carroll, the hot lapper, coming through. Before we talk to our pole position man, though, let's have a quick advert. Thank you, NGK, very much indeed for your support, and we thank all our drivers for their support as well. Nicky Taylor is with us. Nicky, congratulations on pole.
Thank you. To be fair, how Elliot's times were going in official practice and in non-official practice, I thought he was going to be nailed on for it. But yeah, I just kind of seemed to get a lap together, and it was a decent enough lap.
That was pretty good, wasn't it? Obviously, a lot of debate about cutting corners and stuff like that. And while we were watching the NGK, but you were having a little chat with Rich Hayden, our race director, about it, and you're pretty confident that if the first lap goes, the second lap will keep you on pole anyway.
Yeah, if I was pretty sure that even when I'd done the 8, I was like, I've just got to put in another lap that I know is 100% clean, So I'm comfy where I am, and I am however wherever I'm going to end up. So I'm confident. My next fastest lap was a 20 dead something, so it'll still put me second. So even if this one gets taken away, it will still, even if I win this race, it will put me second. So yeah, I'm confident. I'm not going to go down the order too far.
Good man. One of the things I love about the Championship is the way that those of you do get the odd penalty here and there, and everybody's going to at some point. You're going to be in front of the clock or anything else, but everyone takes it, as far as I've seen, in the right spirit.
Yeah, I mean, I got a 5 second for Anglesey for an incident that was completely my fault. Bless my heart. I tried to defend myself on Monday. It didn't go down too well, but yeah, I got the 5 second, and in all fairness, it was justified. So I'm happy with that. But at the end of the day, it's just constantly trying to pick up top fives, trying to pick up points where they are, and trying to make sure my drop round is as high as it can be.
Yeah, that's really commendable attitude, Nicky. I'll take my hat off to you for doing that. Are we any closer to knowing what you're doing circuit-wise yet? Has that been out there yet?
It is decided. We have decided it. We sorted that out. I think about 2-3 weeks ago. So that's sorted now. I think our announcement for it is coming out at the end of March. So just
You
stay
keep
tuned
teasing
for that.
us, mate, don't you? God,
I can't say much about it, but it's all coming together now, and we've got a plan. So I think my
That's good,
attitude and my everything else has turned up now. So yeah.
Good. Oh, I'm pleased about that. That's really, really good news. So on to the race that we got today. Obviously, Thruxton, front of the grid's a great place to be. How much racing have you done here virtually?
I've done quite a bit here with VRRC, like in touring car. Well, the last touring car I got to qualify from both races, but we won't go into that too much for track limits. But yeah, but previous to that, I've always seemed to do relatively alright here. Yeah, it's a track that kind of suits me because it's fast and flowing. But yeah, it's just going to see avoiding incidents for race 2 mainly, and yeah, just try and break a gap away and try and push with Josh at the start of this one. But yeah, race 2 is going to be the main one, because as long as I can avoid incidents, avoid doing track limits, even if that means doing 4 or 5 tenths lap off what I normally do, I think without getting cuts, I'll still be able to make up some places.
Cool. The real life Coopers have had some drama here, haven't they, over the years?
just a tad. I was in front of Harry last year when he rolled it, so that was a bit exciting. But yeah, we always seem to have major incidents here at Thruxton, but I don't know if that's just Coopers or if that's just the nature of Thruxton. But yeah, it's always good fun to come here, even if it is with a little bit more of a damage bill. But yeah, it's always good fun because the racing's always tight, and especially in real life, if you're 10th going into the last lap and you're within the lead train, you can win. So yeah, it's a good track for entertainment purposes because you can win from pretty much anywhere as long as you're within a group.
Well, well done on pole, and thanks for your honesty and having a chat with us, mate. And good luck for the race.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Nicky. And with that, I think we've got another promo. Jack's going to tell us a little bit more about some more upcoming.
Yes, indeed. There's the World Endurance League. That's, well, you've probably heard me prattle on about quite a lot over the last couple of weeks. Well, it's nearly back with us on the 10th of April. We head off to Spa, so not this week, not the one after that, the one after that. So, work that out for yourself. April the 24th, we also head to Le Mans for round 4. The first 2 rounds were absolutely epic, 90-minute races. And once we head into the BMW Championship, the one we mentioned a little bit earlier, we'll be already halfway through the World Endurance League. So, yeah, plenty of races still to be had. Live broadcast, entry is free for VRRC members, and non-members is £10 per round. But as I said, 90-minute races, full stewarding, full broadcast, full kit and caboodle are definitely worth it. From the World Endurance League, we'll jump over to time attacks. And of course, we're coming towards the end of the Formula Time Attacks. It seems like yesterday they actually just started, but we're out to Circuit de Catalunya, I believe. No, we're not. We're at round 1. I was going to say, it did seem like yesterday. It's because you said we're on to the Formula 1 one earlier, Rich. My apologies, everybody. Formula 4, Circuit Zandvoort. I knew we hadn't gone through it all. That is round 1. Round 2 on the 1st of April is the Formula 3 round Melbourne. Round 3 on the 15th of April is the Formula 2 round the Red Bull Ring. And round 4 on the 29th of April is the Formula 1 Circuit de Catalunya. Log in and log your time at any point during these 2 weeks on the Formula 4 car, and you could be at the top winning some good prizes. Free entry to any VRRC members. And last but not least is a slightly new championship. It's not Premier League or anything like that. It is, by popular demand, the Classic Touring Car Championship. These are 20-minute races, free entry for VRRC members. Non-members, it's £10 for the championship. So £2.50 per round. If you can't do the quick maths right there. Donington National Croft back in 1995, something that you can't do in real life. Obviously, we had the luxury of having mods. Thruxton and Silverstone International. They are running every single week on Sundays. So by all means, get yourself down, get racing, and it basically runs exactly the same as these Wednesday championships do. 7:30 qualifying, 20-minute race 1, 20-minute race 2, and but just no broadcast. And yeah, as I said, get yourself down, get entered. It should be really good fun. Right, Richard, that's all the things we have to go through. The rigmarole of sort of what's coming up on VRRC, but we've got a race 1 coming up as well, and it should be fairly exciting.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. If you're watching, then feel free to get involved. It's accessible to everybody. So here we go with our first race of the penultimate evening of our championship, and we've got a few minutes before we actually get going. Nicky Taylor starts on pole position. Josh Martin in the green machine is a lot. Josh is probably. Oh no, Castle Combe we decided was his home track, didn't we? But in terms of mini land and real world mini land, this would have been his home track. As we see the Coopers here. Elliot Dalton lines up in 3rd place, Andy Carroll 4th. And I've got to be honest, I don't really want to pick a winner from these guys around Thruxton. This is the view we get actually from the cameras. It's a super track. Can't wait for it to start. I haven't got much of a crowd in today, though. We need a simulated crowd, don't we, really?
Well, I was going to say, it's good. The reason why they're not watching the racing is because they'll be at the VRRC sim lorry that was just around the corner, actually, when I last went to Thruxton.
Yeah,
if anybody remembers the sim lorry that VRRC used to bring down, and actually a couple of drivers came and tried it on that day and then entered into the championship for a fair few years. So, yeah, that's a bit of a throwback for that one. But, yeah, you're right. It's an awesome venue. There is only sort of 1 or 2 really good places to watch. That last corner where that grandstand is I think the only grandstand they have in the entire place. But it's banked all the way round. The racing's always awesome. It's the fastest circuit in the country. There's nothing not to like around this place.
No, it's a super track, and we've had great racing over the course of the last few years. My relationship with the place goes back. I think it was one of the first circuits that I actually went to when I was in my teens and went to watch Formula 3 there. I mean, it's a big shame we don't have that level of single-seater racing there these days, but it really is a superb place, and it's not for the faint-hearted. And you very often get drivers that, particularly in Ginetta, my coverage of Ginetta, drivers that didn't want to come here. They would sit the round out because they weren't confident, and they felt that the worst thing that you could do in something like a Ginetta is go and upset everybody else's race if you weren't confident there. So I take my hat off to anybody who did that. But yeah, certainly one for the brave is Thruxton circuit. So Nicky Taylor looking to convert pole position into another win, and was first on the road last time out on Anglesey, which was a great pair of races that we had. I was saying how much I was looking forward to going to Anglesey. It's actually 2 weeks out of 3 with an Oulton in the middle, which from London is going to be a very busy 3 weeks. So bags of travelling. And I've only got the one real life event here at Thruxton, which is BTCC. Just under a minute to go for our first race of the day. I've already told you Nicky Taylor and Josh Martin, Elliot Dalton and Andy Carroll on row 2, row 3, Craig Curtis and Kenny Press. What can Kenny do from 6th place on the grid? Championship leader Joel Lask is back in 7th place on the grid, and Dave Heisman has had a real super qualifying. So Dave Heisman and Kenny Press, I've got to say, are the 2 really nice surprises in qualifying for me, possibly for Jack too. And we'll see what they can do, whether they can maintain their positions or head up. At the moment, it's looking like Nicky Taylor, if they finish where they start, highly unlikely, Taylor will take a provisional lead in the championship. Here's the lights, getting ready to go here in virtual Hampshire at Thruxton. The lighting sequence is underway. All of them are on, and we are about to go. CAMMUS JCW Mini Cup racing. Away we go. Nicky Taylor makes a good start, and it's going to be Josh Martin slotting into second as they head through into Allard for the first time. Elliot Dalton is there in third place. Now, where is the big squeeze going to come? It normally happens as they make their way down towards the complex for the first time. Taylor's going out wide and Josh Martin looks on the inside, and I mentioned the complex, we get a little bit of bumping and barging, but it's still Taylor there at the moment from Josh Martin, who explores the outside line. Elliot Dalton-Ayres in third place. The top three have come through relatively unscathed. There's a little bit of a break now developing back to fourth, Jack.
Yeah, and I think Josh Martin's going to look very interested. He's going to have Nicky Taylor worried. I think that means Elliot Dalton-Ayres is a driver that's probably going to try and poach first place out of any of them by the end of this lap as they go down towards Church. You're right, there's a bit of a gap. Andy Carroll is causing a bit of a queue backwards with Joel Last, Craig Curtis, Kenny Press, Brad Smith. Kenny Press, unfortunately, not starting the race as well as he potentially would have liked after his qualifying position. But as they're right on the ragged edge going through Church, they're going to go down into the final complex, the final couple of corners with Josh Martin. Is he going to fake the outside and go for a late dive on the inside? Nicky Taylor? No, he's not. They all choose to go line and stern for the first lap.
I love this bit where they come into that. And do you know what? You can almost hear, I can almost in my head hear the crowd gasping as they go through, which is what they do now. Challenge on for second. Joel Last through on the inside line's got his nose in front, so they head down towards Allard here. And the Green Machine is down to third, so Josh Martin down to third. And Elliot Dalton-Ayres, who remember is trying to not only consolidate that third place on points, which is tied with Brad Smith. Brad Smith, by the way, made a lot of progress as well. He's up to sixth. He wasn't in the, I think, qualified just inside the top 10. You can see the green car with the black top of Brad Smith climbing up as well. So Brad up into sixth place, chasing Joel Lask, who doesn't look as at home today as he did earlier on in the season.
No, I was going to say when we went to Croft, it was all Nicky Taylor. Then we went to Anglesey, it was all Joel Lask, even though Nicky actually came out and won race 2. He took home more points, even though he was the slower of the two. And it seems as they've gone here to Thruxton, it looks like Nicky's obviously got that pace again. So Joel's going to have to be very careful not to lose his championship lead. He only really has it because of the penalty that got given to Nicky last week. I thought Elliot Dalton-Ayres was absolutely flying off the edge of the circuit. Then just about managed to keep it on millimetre safe. Brad Smith versus Craig Curtis in the background are going side by side into the final complex.
They are coming up Woodham Hill, and again, Nicky Taylor leads through. How much straight lining is going on there? That would be, for sure, a chat with the clerk of the course, because as I've mentioned, it's a real hot potato here at Thruxton. The track limits, particularly through that chicane. What can you do? What can't you do? They put the tyres out to stop them, and then a car will clout the tyres, and then they'll say, "Why do we have the tyres?" And it just goes on and on. Never ever ends the argument about track limits here. Top three closing up again though. So Elliot Dalton-Ayres not losing Josh Martin at the moment. Nicky Taylor isn't losing the pair of them either. Andy Carroll in fourth, not looking that far behind as he sort of settles in to a little bit of race rhythm. Joel Last down behind him, then Craig Curtis. So this has obviously got, 20 minutes to go. Plenty of time for these guys to sort themselves out. Remember, things like tyre degradation, very much a part of this. So Nicky might have to find himself nursing the tyres as we get through to the later stages of the race, but this is just whetting my appetite for seeing the Coopers here a little bit later on in the year. Really excited to be seeing them again. If you're enjoying this, come out for the day and join us at Thruxton for real. Here they come again though, up Brooklands, Woodham Hill, in towards the club chicane again. Taylor, Dalton-Ayres and Martin, the three of them, you could throw a handkerchief over them.
Yeah, they're still pretty much nose to tail, aren't they? And I think that's probably because Nicky Taylor seems to be unable to get away, I reckon, thanks to the slipstream in a lot of ways as well. But to be fair to Josh Martin, in that qualifying time that put him in second was less than a tenth of a second away from Nicky Taylor. So he was clearly, obviously, had a quick lap in him. He didn't really have the consistency. That's why I expect Nicky Taylor to potentially, drive away eventually. And we are only 4.5 minutes into this race. But Elliot Dalton-Ayres, he might not have had the qualifying pace, but we all know how quick he is in these minis over the rest of this championship. You would be a fool to sort of write him off going into any race towards the final stages of this season. And it looks like he's got a run on Nicky Taylor. I wouldn't be surprised as we go through Church to see him right on the back bumper, so we can have a late lunge into the final couple of corners. Or he might actually be alongside and then go through Church. That would be a foolish error as well.
It would be. Elliot's only 30 points behind, and including today, we've got just over 100 points with today and next week's round as well in the mix. So it's, if there's a little bit of bad luck for Joel or indeed Nicky Taylor in any of the races. It's going to tighten things up now. Here he comes. He's got the inside run as they go up Woodham Hill, and he's going to take the lead. Nicky might be thinking about championship points here. I know he wants to win every single race, but that was a super move. Very well timed. One of the smoothest mini moves I've seen going up into the club chicane. And we have our new leader now from third on the grid. Elliot Dalton is out front.
Yeah, Dalton Ayres, he took Josh Martin on the exit of the final corner. He took Nicky Taylor on the entrance to the final corner. Is he going to hold on to it, though, as they go through the complex? We'll never know, because we're looking at Johnny Ogden, who seems to be having a lovely race as well. Joel Lask all the way down to the bottom of the field nearly. He's in 16th place, Richard.
Yeah, do you know what? I haven't written down the drop scores this weekend coming into the round because it was getting too complicated for me. So maybe if this becomes Joel's drop round, it might close things up as we head to Brands Hatch GP next Wednesday evening. Make sure you join us. We've now got a quartet for the lead because Andy Carroll has really got on the case. You know, these three cars that were out front would have been cutting a big hole in the air, but Andy Carroll has not let them get away now as Josh Martin challenges for P2 here. He's got himself teed up the inside. Nicky's seen him and is giving him room. Fair play, Nicky Taylor. And this is great racing between the pair of them. And are we going to see Martin now convert this third place into second? Taylor's got a little bit more of a run up Woodham Hill, but Martin's got the line as they come up into the club chicane. Are we going to see hip and shoulders here? No, Taylor realises he needs to finish the race. That was nice, clean racing between the pair. I take my hat off to them. Great stuff.
To go through church side by side and the drive on the outside to not end up on the grass is fairly terrifying, unheard of stuff almost, isn't it, Rich? Although there we go, he's on the outside of the grass now. The wrong part of the track, Nicky. You did the hard work half a lap ago. Yeah, that's allowed Nicky Taylor. I think all that messing around through the complex, actually, that we skipped away to see what happened to Joel Lask, I think that bunched them all up, slowed them all down, and that allowed Andy Carroll to sort of get in the mix. And that was the worst thing that could have happened to Nicky Taylor because he seems to be dropping quite substantially. The best thing, though, was that for Dalton Ayres was Josh Martin overtaking because he's got a nice 8/10 gap. And even if the slipstream closes it back up, that is still probably a lap or two where he's going to have some breathing room.
Brad Smith in fifth. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Brad Smith in fifth position. Taylor with the fastest lap at the moment. It's only 1 point. It only really makes a difference, that single point. Maybe at the end of the season, and also it tends to make a little bit of a difference if you're, you know, outside of the top 10 when it's one place per point, where you can put it up. But Nicky again, you know, third position, it's not too shabby for him. And Joel Lask down in 14th place. So you know, overall points scored. Nicky Taylor is still doing everything that he needs to do. In third position, very healthy 20 points in the offing for him. Joel down in 14th, that's 4 points. So 16 gained, I think 4 gaps. So 12-point lead potentially, 13-point lead potentially going into the anti-penultimate race of our campaign, race 2, our reverse grid race. But overtaking is going to be a premium there. We saw the bun fight as they went into the complex on lap 1 of this one. I'm wondering whether it will be an Anglesey thing and the bun fight will be further round, maybe coming into the club chicane on the reverse grid for race 2. But we're probably, you know, half an hour away from that as we watch Elliot Dalton Ayres continue to try and pull away from Josh Martin. Taylor now, top 4, relatively settled now. We're into that sort of mid-race bit where things just calm down and everybody will start to take stock, including Nicky Taylor, who's actually, I think, starting to have a nibble now at Josh Martin again to reclaim second position.
Yeah, he was about 0.2 of a second quicker through that first sector and about a 10th quicker through the first as well. So you are looking at Nicky Taylor being a little bit quicker on this lap, particularly than Josh. He'll have to think about that. Again, that'll be music to the ears of Elliot Dalton Ayres just in front, won't it? Because none of them are actually catching him particularly. And if Nicky goes for another lunge, that's just going to eke out another 0.8 of a second, maybe even more for the advantage of the race leader. Joel Lask, championship leader, no advantage for him whatsoever. Okay, yeah, he's gone from 16th back up to 12th, but 5.2 seconds now between him and Johnny Oulton. Then you've got another 4 seconds, although it looks like Chris Blakey's had a bit of a problem. He might be a free place for everybody down from 10th and downwards, but still not Joel's finest hour, not his best race, and you know what, he has to have some kind of recovery in the next 15 minutes to score any half-decent points out of this one, otherwise it's going to be a drop round likely.
Yes, the worst thing, isn't it, to be leading a championship for so long during the course of a campaign and then just slide off towards the end. But we've seen such strong stuff from him earlier on in the campaign, as Nicky Taylor not quite now getting that much closer, is he, to Josh Martin at the moment. There is Josh, the Dean Martin control. I watched my old video interview with him a couple of years back on YouTube a while ago, and I did enjoy a bit of a character, a bit of a lad. It's a shame we can't get him racing in the real world. So what was it you raced here, Jack?
I raced in the Ginettas. I was actually going to mention it when you said that a few drivers didn't turn up because it was too scary. I was one of the drivers who did, and then regretted my decision because it was far too scary. I turned up, and all of a sudden, going through Noble, I saw someone just ahead of me absolutely stage exit left because the car was under too much load and the tyres on the rear had gone. And he just went straight into a tyre wall and straight into a ditch, I think. It took ages to get his car out, and I thought, yeah, that's not for me this weekend. And ever since I watched that, I couldn't go through the damn thing flat. So, yeah, and obviously Noble's a very important corner on this circuit. You're halfway through the flat out section. And yeah, it's very, very dodgy. But I remember actually going in, I was in third place, going into the final complex, and I got overtaken around the outside of my teammate on the brakes as well. So one of my more embarrassing moments, and I have a fair few. Josh Martin and Elliot Dalton Ayres. Josh Martin's caught up that 0.8 of a second. It's now within 3.
Yeah, he has caught up. You were there though, mate. I'll take my hat off to you. You've done something I haven't. Here comes the battle for the lead, and Josh Martin really getting stuck in now. So we do have a battle for the lead. 13 minutes on the clock as Martin tries to tee up the inside line here. Thought he was going to do it there. Now, was there a push or contact there? Or maybe there wasn't, but he's so close. And Martin here is trying to get round the outside for the inside on the next run. And I think has got the lead as they come into the club chicane. Elliot Dalton Ayres tries to repay the compliment. Nicky Taylor's getting fired up as well. But Josh Martin teed that up early doors, placed the car on the inside. But here comes Dalton Ayres into Allard. Nicky Taylor's looking around the out. Nicky Taylor going for a big sweep here, using all of the track. And now look at Nicky Taylor's read this superbly. Sees the gap if he can hold on the outside here. As they head up towards the complex, Taylor's going to get back up into P2, maybe into the lead because he's on the inside now. Coming into Campbell, and he tries to hip and shoulder. And gets into the back of Josh Martin, who goes off. Nicky is going to be absolutely gutted about that. And now into the mix comes Andy Carroll as well, with Brad Smith now in the bright green car in 4th place. But such a shame to lose Josh Martin there.
Yeah, that is absolutely good, and Josh will be very upset about that as well. He had to come back onto the circuit at some point. We didn't get the best angle as to how close they were to the corner, how aggressive Josh was back across, or whether Nicky gave him any room at all. We didn't see any of that, but it's a bit of a shame. I mean, ultimately, we have to be sad that we've lost what is an absolutely brilliant battle, and there is still a good battle. Elliot Dalton Ayres, Nicky Taylor, Andy Carroll. I thought Carroll actually would end up with the race lead after all that. But that is this right here on your screen is still going to be epic. Dalton Ayres retains the race lead, and Nicky Taylor actually still ends up in 3rd place because Andy Carroll sends it up the inside into the final couple of corners.
Yeah, I'll be honest. You know what Nicky Taylor was trying to do. I'd have done exactly the same, whether it was right or wrong. With contact, you never quite know how it's going to pan out. But they were, with 3 cars all going. You know, that's why you have clocks of the course. That's why you have footage to watch, just to see. But hats off to Nicky for having a go. And I take back what I said about he's been looking at championship points. He wants the win and just wanted to get in the mix there. So he did get in the lead. But at the end of it, Elliot Dalton Ayres from Andy Carroll. Brad Smith must now fancy his chances of a win, because if it all kicks off again with the top 3, Brad Smith is going to be on them very quickly indeed.
He is, yeah. I think that's probably the aim really for Brad Smith. Although that's it's Brad Smith. Sorry, the timing tower on the left-hand side obviously has him as top. He's not. He's 4th. There we go. It's correcting itself now. That properly confused me for a quick second. I had to say as well. Oh no, I'll come back to it in a second, because Nicky Taylor looks like he's going to take that 2nd place through Church. And Andy Carroll wasn't going to fight that one, as Taylor said a bit too much speed in. No, got it pretty much perfect, didn't he, that one? Elliot Dalton Ayres, again, just loving life, watching this through his rear-view mirrors. He had a lap, maybe 2, of stress, and he's back to a 2nd gap and not having to worry too much about it for the next couple of minutes anyway. 10 minutes to go. Richard, this has been an absolutely epic fight. Apart from one bit of contact, we haven't really seen that much chaos, have we? Which is really good.
No, not as much as the real world Coopers, bless them, and I am only jesting with that because we've seen some nasty turnovers and things like that going on in the past with them. But yeah, this has been great racing, and as the season develops for me, I'm getting more and more into it and loving every second of it. Super stuff. Elliot Dalton ends that. Nicky Taylor, Andy Carroll, Brad Smith, Kenny Press is in 5th place. So Kenny on for his best race 1 finish. So, you know, all kudos for him for getting the kit sorted out and putting in a very good performance in qualifying as the top 3 go through. Again, Brad Smith 1.7 seconds down on Andy Carroll. Kenny Press not too far behind him as well. Quick check on Thomas Potter for our watching fans, Dudley and Jazz. Thomas is down in 14th place at the moment. So come on, Dudley and Jazz, give him a bit of fan power. Let's see if we can get him a little bit further up the order. He's chasing Adam Lyle at the moment, and John Jones in 12th. John having a good run, on to equal his best race 1 of the season, which was the first race of the year at Donington Park. John Jones currently in 12th place.
Yeah, strong effort there, isn't it? In 12th, he is a bit further back than he probably would like from Johnny Ogden. From Joel Lask, I should say, actually. Lask is in 11th place now and has a fair, only about a second, actually, from Johnny Ogden. So he's got really good pace under him. He just was in the wrong place at the wrong time, wasn't he? It must be. I don't know what happened, obviously, with Joel Lask, but he's not having the best race. But it's a half-decent recovery drive, and he's probably putting himself as one of the favourites for race number 2, of course, which you reverse all of it, and he'll probably be starting around the middle of the pack, maybe just outside the top 10. Either way, it's a decent effort here, and he is rescuing some points. Nicky Taylor still 0.3 of a second. Andy Carroll half a second now back, and then as we see Joel Lask trying to go around the outside of the complex, yeah. That's a fairly impressive move. That we've seen Nicky Taylor try it already. Joel Lask, maybe it was made a little bit easier by Johnny Ogden going a little bit slower there.
Yeah, Johnny's certainly no slouch himself, but of course what we have seen at a couple of the other rounds is drivers getting a decent result in race 2 and then being on the points podium for the event. So that may well be, because we were writing off Nicky Taylor last week from race 1, and then he had an absolute stormer in race 2 and ended up on the event podium. And talking of Nicky and company, back to our top 3 with Elliot Dalton is still there. Still nothing between these 3, and that slipstream working exactly as we thought it might here.
I was going to say that you mentioned obviously asking what I raced in around Thruxton and everything like that. I remember in 2019, I think the touring cars came here twice. Richard, you probably know better than me.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of them, you didn't have the normal minis or anything. We had the Porsches at one. That was when I was racing it. And then the other meeting, we had the classic minis, which were just unbelievably exciting and epic stuff. And they were just so nose to tail constantly. And we're not seeing quite as much the whole field all going into one corner side by side, but we did see about 20 in the classic mini, so you ever get a chance to watch them, I insist you go and do that as well. As Nicky Taylor all over the back of Elliot Dalton, as Adam Lyle all over the back of John Jones.
Yeah, having a good one. Just we've got the mini medias and sevens on with the Thruxton again. This year it's their one outing with the Touring Car Championship. I did ask them actually, France last year, whether they would be, sort of consider being a full-time support championship, but I think financially it's just not viable for them. But what is viable at the moment is the battle for the lead, because the top 3 are all closing up. Dalton Ayres still there from Nicky Taylor, who's still in with a shout of a win here and going to the outside line. Is he going to sell him a dummy and look up the inside? Dalton Ayres keeping it relatively mid-circuit, but that's defence, and that's going to slow up his progress as Andy Carroll tries to close in. Kenny Press and Brad Smith, I think, are close together. Let's have a quick look as they come through. They are. So 4th and 5th is a little bit of an issue as well. Kenny Press is cracking on here, isn't he? And getting closer to Brad Smith. So we might see a change 4th place in the last 5 minutes as well.
I could understand if Kenny Press started to put pressure and try and overtake Brad Smith. But what I would say is with 5.5 minutes to go, the front 3 are going to start lunging each other. And if they could make it a 5-way battle for the race lead, Kenny Press, even though he could fight over 4th place as the best he could possibly get, or he could wait, bide his time, and he might get a 3rd, he might get a 2nd, he might even get a race win if they all come together, obviously. That would be sort of, if I was in his ear, that would be sort of what I'd be saying. Just hold off until the last lap, then make your move. Because at Thruxton, you don't want to make your move until the last lap anyway, because you give up that slipstream.
Yeah, it's that game of chess, isn't it? It's all about, oh, and he's having a go. He's not listening to us, is he?
No.
So he goes down the inside here because he might want to go in front of Brad and then maybe lead the charge of the pair together. No, he isn't. He's gone a little bit wide, and this is going to allow Brad Smith to come back. This is classic Thruxton stuff, but they're slowing each other up and dropping back off the top three, which is a pity because if they work together, I'm sure that they would be able to close in on the leaders. You can see the gap's beginning to go out a little bit now. Craig Curtis is in 6th. Josh Martin now up into 7th on his recovery. Great damage limitation from Josh Martin. Kenny's got to try and work it all out again and close in as we go back to Nicky Taylor. Elliot Daltonair's starting to develop a little bit of a gap out front from Taylor, with Andy Carroll still hungry for P2. So the battle at the moment, the focus is going to be for 2nd place rather than the race lead. Again, unless they can work together and try and get back at the leader with just that 4 minutes to go.
I'm actually looking a bit further back. Craig Curtis lost, I think, 3 positions. He was in about 7th place. Paul Laramie's doing a good job, to be fair, in 7th, and Dan Heisman, obviously, in 8th place. And there's actually a lot of drivers who are in amongst the top 10 conversation and actually higher up towards like that 5th place position than we're used to seeing, to be fair to them. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way to Kenny Press or Paul Laramie or Heisman or Curtis or anything like that. In fact, Curtis especially actually has sort of stepped up in this mini championship. But it is nice to see a sort of a flurry of different drivers all fighting to just take that next step, take that podium positions off a few of the protagonists that we have here at VRRC. Andy Carroll is arguably my driver of the season because he has always been one of the drivers that have turned up for one particular round in the championship, and then he's back just around the outside of the top 10, around that sort of no man's land. He has consistently been up here, and I know we've got 2 rounds left, but Andy Carroll may well be probably my most improved shout for this championship.
Yeah, he's done well. He's 5th in the standings at the moment, so ahead of Josh Martin, and he'll maintain that in this race as well as he tries to challenge Nicky Taylor, who is provisionally going to go into the championship lead again before next Monday's meeting, at least anyway. There's Brad Smith still ahead of Kenny Presser. Kenny has reeled him in again, 2 minutes 37 on the clock. This pairing is not going to get close enough, I don't think, to the lead trio unless I just put the curse of the commentator on them. But they are going to continue to have their own excellent battle here for 4th place. Kenny Press's best race 1 in this series so far. 12th position at Oulton Park, completely different to what you're seeing here at Thruxton track-wise. And Press looks around the outside, might be able to carry a bit of momentum to Chivy along the inside. No, he's still going wide, goes out on the grass street. Now will flick over, and he's just trying to get around the outside to convert to the inside, coming up Woodham Hill now into the club chicane. He's got the right line, so surely this is going to be a pass for him. Manages to keep his nose in front, so he's past Brad Smith up into 4th position, and you can see how early he worked that out. But Brad Smith gets great momentum out of the chicane onto the straight and repasses again. Textbook Thruxton stuff.
Yeah, I think the problem Kenny Press had there is he hit the inside curb on the left too hard. He went onto 2 wheels, and I genuinely thought he was going to have a big crash into the tyre wall. He managed to avoid that, but it ruined his run out of it. So brilliant into it. He didn't need to be as late on the brakes, but a driver who did actually succeed in overtaking someone at that particular set of corners, just a couple of 100 yards ahead of them, about 4 seconds ahead of them actually, was Andy Carroll overtaking Nicky Taylor. So Andy Carroll has taken 2nd place, and look how close he is to Elliot Daltonair's. Daltonair's on that last lap was around about bang on the same as Andy Carroll, and Andy Carroll made an overtaking manoeuvre as well. So really, Daltonair's needs to have a look at his rearview mirrors. So does Brad Smith, because with 50 seconds left to go, we're going to be on the penultimate lap as Andy Carroll is all over the back of Elliot Daltonair's.
He is. This is about bragging rights between the pair, because Elliot Daltonair's has 3 wins in the campaign. Andy Carroll has 2. He'd love to equalise here and maybe get the shout at having a go to get win number 4 in the reverse grid. As difficult as that may be, I think we're going to squeeze another lap out of this. Nicky Taylor sees them squabbling and he's trying to close in as well. Andy Carroll has got to try and work hard. Elliot Daltonair's sucking up the pressure at the moment as they go into Allard. Taylor fighting hard, just taking every bit of track that he can to try and close in on the lead pairing in our first race of the day. Brad Smith still in 4th from Kenny Press. Here comes Carroll again piling the pressure on as they go through Campbell, through Combe now, down towards Seagrave, and then the long run out towards Noble will await them. Top three there, you can see the line that Nicky Taylor's getting. This is going to potentially bring him back into the battle for second as Andy Carroll still chivies away and tries as hard as he can to close in on Elliott out front.
Yeah, I think Elliott, I don't know whether his tyres are gone, but he's looking a bit erratic. He's all over the curbs, he's sliding a lot. Maybe he's overheated them, but Andy Carroll, with the lightest car out of the three of them, has a real opportunity here. But Nicky Taylor will be hoping to scrape up the crumbs as they go around towards Church for the final time. Oh, Carroll misses the apex quite heavily. He'll have to come off the throttle. He had to come off it all the way, actually. That's going to ruin his run. That might give Elliott Dalton-Ayres the race victory here, but Nicky Taylor not too close either to Andy Carroll. As long as they don't mess up the final chicane, this is going to be the order. Richard, it's been a great race. It's a shame Josh Martin wasn't involved with it as well, but it's Elliott Dalton-Ayres who's going to take yet another race victory.
Yeah, we're number 4 of the campaign. It's very close as they come up towards the flag. Meanwhile, it's closer still on the final. I think Kenny Presser's lost out there as he managed to get it all back going. He's down to 6 now. Josh Martin up to 5th as Brad Smith comes through for 4th. So it's Elliott Dalton-Ayres, Andy Carroll, Nicky Taylor in 3rd place. Brad Smith up into 4th, and Kenny Press, I don't know if he's going to restart. He's actually going to be outside the top 10 with that literally last corner attempt to get up into 4th position. I think he's wound up in 11th place, Kenny Press, or has he? We'll see the official result when they come through. But yeah, a dramatic race, Jack. Thoroughly enjoyable once again. And there is Kenny Press crossing the line, makes it home in 11th place. And again, that's going to be sort of mid-grid for the reverse grid race. And we'll see what he can do from there and look forward to that as we watch our race winner, Elliott Dalton-Ayres, in the 71 car. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, we'll be speaking to Elliott Dalton-Ayres, Andy Carroll and Nicky Taylor just after this very short break.
Thanks to Evnia, and thanks to all our drivers again for putting on a great show in our first race of the evening. And we're going to do 3, 2, 1 as ever we do. So 3rd position, Nicky Taylor, 2nd chat of the day, Nicky. And what a race! Talk us through that skirmish that you had with Josh, Andy, and Elliot mid race.
Yeah, at the start, I pulled away not brilliantly, and then Josh, obviously just with the tow being so powerful around here, just got alongside me by T2, and I tried to fend him off, which I'd done for the most part. And then we went into, on one lap, we went into that complex. I went round the outside. I was then on the inside for the left-hander. I then stayed tight and held my line, and my wheel was completely straight when we got on the straight bit of track. And from my view, he literally just turned left across me and spun himself round, and then proceeded to come alongside me at the formation lap and like barge through everyone. But is what it is, and we move, and I was just focusing on track limits and stuff. And I don't know what it is, but Andy's car was rapid at the end. I don't know if it's the 5 kg or whatever, but yeah, my tyres were done by about 10 minutes in.
Right. You've got to go for those moves, though, haven't you? I mean, it was we just didn't know which way the race was going to go. It was very, very exciting to watch. But you've always got to have a go if you're in the mix for, even with 4 cars, and I think you're back in 3rd or 4th place, and then to come through, we didn't quite know how it was going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of on the move. I got down the outside because Elliott went a bit wide into T1, so I didn't really want to go into the back of him, so I went left to try and like pry a gap, and then Josh kind of moved out, so I went for that gap, and then yeah, as I say, I thought I was entitled to go where I did, and what happened, but we'll have to see how that goes on Monday. But yeah, I'm just focusing, especially in this reverse grid, just taking my time and just keeping it on the track and on the black stuff.
Sure, there will always be things like that happening on track, which is one of the joys of racing. Right, have we got Jack back yet?
We do indeed.
If we haven't,
yeah.
that's. Oh, I was going to say if we haven't, not a problem, but we'll let you do P2.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for that, Richard.
Thanks,
and,
Nicky.
and Nicky Taylor. We can have a chat to Andy Carroll. Andy, big congratulations. You looked pretty electric towards the end there. Even Nicky Taylor said so.
Yeah, I think was it like 25 kilos different between Nicky and I think that showed at the end. I kind of tried to not put him under too much pressure because I knew his tyres would probably be struggling. I just kind of tried to keep it smooth behind him, for that middle section of the race. And then come the end, I still had it wasn't great condition, but it was still held up okay at the front left, and I just had that little bit more pace than him, but not quite enough to be able to make a solid move on Elliot.
I don't know. You were closer than I think you're giving yourself credit for, but unfortunately, you weren't quite close enough right when it mattered. You sort of missed the apex on Church, and if you
on the last lap I missed.
That...
On the last lap I missed up Church. That was but no, it was good result. I certainly didn't expect to be on the podium here because the times are so close.
And
everyone's.
It was a bit hard work at the beginning, wasn't it? Sort of because for you saw the top three pull away from you. Was that quite demoralising, or was that sort of you knew that they would come back eventually?
No, again, I was I was trying not to go off too quick and sort of do too much damage to the tyres early on. I wanted to kind of sort of slowly get into it, just be nice and smooth, keep that front left as in condition as possible, and then I got lucky through the chicane. I saw in my mirror Joel sort of spinning out and taking a couple of people with him, and then when we were battling up the front, I saw Brad sort of getting quite close. So at that point I thought, well, it's probably best just to try and stay in formation for a bit, build up a bit of a gap to Brad, and then see where we can battle it out in the last few laps.
Well, it certainly was very entertaining from our point of view, Andy. I'm looking forward to seeing how you deal with race 2 as well, because of course, Thruxton, reverse grid, you can't really plan for it, can you?
I think Mini's reverse grid, you can't really plan. It doesn't matter the track. But this one especially, as Nicky said, I think it's just about trying to be patient the first lap or two, and then try and move forward from there, and hopefully avoid some of the inevitable carnage.
Well, Andy, we'll be keeping an eye out for you. Hopefully we'll have a chat with you later on. Well done on the second place.
Thank you.
Well done, Andy, and to Nicky as well. Definitely well done, everyone as well. But equally bigger well done, of course, to our race winner, Elliot Dalton. As we get to speak again, Elliot, how are you doing?
I'm pretty sweaty, to be honest. I mean,
Lovely.
After that race, I mean, Andy I was probably about a second a lap quicker than me and Nicky in the final couple minutes, because I think he's on like 10 kilos and me and Nicky are on like 35 and 40. But that always adds a bit more stress, especially on the tyres. And but overall, it's been a pretty eventful race.
So happy with the way that went obviously off the start. You started in third place and made pretty light work of getting to the front, and then stayed there. But it wasn't all easy, was it? Because there were challenges right the way through, and that's the nature of Thruxton, I guess.
No, I mean it was difficult to get past because I got a bit lucky with Josh, because I think he made a mistake on the club chicane and I just snuck through, and then Nicky, I can't really remember what happened, but I got into the lead and held it for a bit, and I think I made a mistake which allowed Josh and Nicky to get through, and then they had a little tangle, and then that allowed me to get through again. But it's been a good race.
I can't remember where we are. I don't think I've asked you this question before, but have you actually done any of the circuits for real, either as a passenger or junior track or anything like that?
Only ever raced them on the sim. I've never. I'd want to, but no, I've never done it.
It's obviously something that you would aim to do. I know you're doing your kart team at the moment, but
Yeah.
how far away would you think it is in any plan?
Or to car race.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Probably a couple of years. I mean, we'll just see where karting takes us, and then go from there.
It's going to be, you have plenty of practice anyway, sim wise, to get you out on these tracks when you get there, which will be fun. And I for one look forward to seeing you out there. I will talk as we have with the other guys about reverse grid, and it is always an issue here. Anglesey was a huge bun fight, wasn't it? As going up into the rocket complex on lap one. I think that was turn 2 or 3. Do you think there's going to be a similar sort of thing here? Is it going to be the first complex or the end of the lap on the second one where we have the big sort out?
It's usually always the last chicane, and I
Right.
usually always get caught up in it. I mean, I'm pretty sure every reverse grid we've done at Thruxton, I've been caught up in it. But yeah, I think my mentality is just going to be go for it again. I mean, it's done me well in the past, so if I just continue that and hopefully get another podium, but I think a top 10 would be nice.
That'd be good. I'll throw stats at you. If you're normally caught out by it, it means you won't be this time.
Thanks.
That's what I always say to drivers. You always got to try and err on the positive if you're chatting to people and maybe coaching them. But anyway, good luck with it. Congratulations on another win, and we'll see what you can do off the back. Nice chatting to you again, Elliot.
Yeah, cheers, Rich.
All the best for race 2. So that's our podium. And a quick recap there: Nikki Taylor in 3rd place, 2nd position, and Carol and Elliot Dalton as is in 1st. The cars are busy lining up, ready for the 2nd race, the reverse grid race, with the grid you can see on the timing tower. I think correct there with Lee Pearcey starting off on pole position. And then it is Adam Lyle. So I'm just going to write these down for a little bit of reference. The dry lines. We've got Thomas Potter on the outside of row 2 with Sam Walton for company alongside. So Lee Pearson and Adam Lyle on row 1, Sam Walton and Tom Potter at row 2. Row 3, Sam Milner and John Jones. Then Kenny Press, who ends up on row 4 with Johnny Ogden. Then Dave Heisman and Joel Lask in 10th place. So Joel has got that little bit of a starting advantage in this one, but actually not that far ahead if you look at the timing tower, ahead of the likes of Josh Martin, Nicky Taylor, 15th on the grid, and then obviously Andy Carroll and Elliot Dalton Ayres, and then the non-finishers from race 1, Stu Henderson, Nathan Smith, Chris Blakey, next up Mark Stokes in 21st. I know you said Rich Hayden 22nd, but he's not in the race. It would be good though. It would be fun. So you heard the prediction there from Elliot saying that he thought it was going to be the final corner where the big sort out was going to happen. A little bit like we had from Anglesey last week, just under a minute to go, by the way, for those of you that are watching this one. So Pearcey and Lyle, Walton and Potter very quickly. Jack Oliver, who is going to be leading as they come through, let's say, the first complex.
I'm not sure on the first complex, but I think the race winner will be Kenny Press.
Okay. Rich Hayden's going for Joel Lask. I'm not going to say anything because the lighting gantry is up and we're waiting for that to be populated and ready for our second 25-minute race. 10 seconds to go. Very quickly the lights get populated and illuminated and now de-illuminated, and away we go. So it's Lee Pearcey that gets away. Slotting into second position is going to be Adam Lyle as they go around Allard for the first time. All clean, but look at them all start to bunch up behind, and it is the 60 of Lee Pearcey who leads them away. He's got a little bit of breathing space, so hopefully he's going to be able to make it into the lead and through the complex. Clearly, we've got a car off there. Brad Smith off on the grass and going away in the background, but Pearcey has led well here from Lyle in second place. Thomas Potter is in third. To big cheers from Dudley and Jazz, who are supporting him today. Again, our best wishes to you guys to get well soon. Here we go, though. Pearcey, Lyle, Potter, John Jones in fourth place, Sam Walton in fifth, Now, this is beginning to look as if Elliot Daltonaire's prediction of a little bit of bunching as they come into the club chicane for the first time could be the order of the day.
Well, my prediction was absolute rubbish because Kenny Press is down in 20th position. So, yeah, unfortunately, even though we see him a lot quicker, we won't see him on the podium, I don't imagine, today. But they go down, Lee Piercy in the lead. Lyle is 1 second, over 1 second back. But Thomas Potter is right there in third place with Adam Lyle just ahead of him. John Jones, Walton, Curtis, Martin overtaking Curtis. This is where we could see in the background a little bit of a melee as Lyle goes straight into the tyres. You said that they complain if you put the tyre barriers there. We've even moved him away from the apex, and Lyle has still managed to find it. I don't think he's managed to make any, collect anybody else, but big shame for him.
Yeah, that kind of shunt would have been reds out straight away in real world, but thankfully we get the chance to. We don't have. It's one of the big advantages for me of virtual racing is that you don't have the stoppages. Can be so annoying, particularly on a BTCC weekend, and very frustrating for the people that are putting together the live coverage. But Thomas Potter in second, John Jones in third, Josh Martin is fourth. A great chance for Josh Martin to pull some points back here and hopefully cheer himself up after the issues that transpired in race number 1. And there looks to be big gaps at the moment out on track, but they will come down in this reverse grid. So Potter in second position. Let's see whether he can close in on Pierce. It's 1.4 seconds at the moment. John Jones giving him attention though, and starting to close in. Running wide there was Piercy. John Jones runs wide as well. Whoever thought of Thruxton as a rallycross circuit? It's beginning to look a little bit like that with a couple of the lines as they bed themselves into this second race, and Jones still is trying to close in.
He is, yeah. As Potter misses the apex on the right hand, and I think that it doesn't ruin his run compared to Jones, but it will ruin his run compared to Josh Martin. And the likes of Josh Martin, Elliot Daltonaire is up to 5th position. They'll be the drivers who absolutely love the fact that this has become really spaced out, because it means they don't have to worry about people fighting. They can just pick off people one by one, knowing that their out-and-out lap pace is quicker than those ahead of them. So we were guessing Kenny Press. Rich guessed Joel Lask, who's still in 8th place. I'm actually going to say Elliot Daltonaire for a double race victory here now. I think Josh Martin is going to have something to say about that, but if Daltonaire can follow his way through, he clearly has a massive amount of pace. Nicky Taylor versus Joel Lask is sort of what's on your screen right now. They've got about a second between them, but if Nicky Taylor gets held up, that could be really interesting as their tyres start to degrade. Can Joel Lask squeeze some points back from Nicky Taylor?
Yeah, he really needs to try, doesn't he? But Taylor's got the upper hand at the moment. 7th over 8. So I think we said a 13 point by my maths, which is probably wrong because I didn't clock where Joe was at the end of the previous race points wise. But Nicky now, I think, in good shape to take the championship lead as Jones pings up the inside. He's got the run, but Thomas Potter has got a little bit more momentum going into the chicane, holds on to it, launches over the curbs a little bit. Jones coming under pressure from Josh Martin, so Tom Potter's going to get a little bit of a breathing space at the moment as Elliot Daltonaire has a watching brief now on the pair battling it out for 3rd place, and if they carry on dinging and donging like that, then Elliot Daltonaire is going to be able to sneak through. You can see he's just biding his time at the moment. He knows he's got time in the race to do it. Potter through in 2nd. This is the scrap for 3rd. I hate to use the word scrap when talking about mini racing, particularly in the real world, but it is in 3rd place now. Josh Martin, Elliot Daltonaire's pops through. John Jones now down to 5th place. Dave Heisman trying to come up and join the party in 6th. Nicky Taylor in 7th, not that far away either. So we could have some replication of the podium pace. Although look at Lee Pierce, he's got away 3.5 seconds. Let us shout out from the rooftops how well Lee Pierce is doing in these opening stages of this reverse grid race.
He's smashing it. He's taking full advantage, isn't he, of Potter versus Jones. And really, Josh Martin actually caught John Jones at the worst point on the entire track, I would argue, really. It was really slow on that first apex going into the final couple of corners, and he just got held up, and all of a sudden that 1 second gap to Daltonaire's got reduced massively, didn't it? But it's actually extended just a bit. It's Nicky Taylor versus Heisman, is that? It is versus Heisman. Heisman's not giving it up. In fact, he's all kind of tripped. There's contact on the apex. Nicky Taylor needed to get his car right in over the curb, but to be fair, I think that was more evasive action as they're trying to be split by Joel Lask. The championship could well be swayed on this one of these particular moves with Heisman right in the middle. Nicky Taylor's gotten through. Heisman's still in the middle, and Joel Lask in third, but third in this fight anyways. Heisman looks on the inside of Nicky Taylor yet again. Lask is into the back of him. He can't get past.
No, he can't. I've got some interesting news on the points to convey a little bit later on when things are settled down, if indeed they do settle quite down. But it's Piercy from Dalton. There's Josh Martin. Tom Potter still in fourth place. We've got Josh Martin trying to get back at Elliot Dalton. As we know he could do that in race number 1. Tom Potter watching and learning. Remember, the 12-year-old who's really punching above his weight, doing superbly. Lovely picture of him on social media today with the Virtu Motors safety car, which you'll see the Scott Stringfellow driving during safety car interventions in the real world racing. And Tom living the dream there. I hope he's going to come and say hello to us at the touring car meetings as this battle continues. This is for second place. Piercy now 4.3 seconds clear. There he goes, exiting the chicane. Dalton Ayres and Martin for second and third. Thomas Potter still in a very, very commendable fourth place from John Jones. Nicky Taylor sixth. Dave Heisman is there in seventh. And this is the beauty for me of any reverse grid racing, real world or simulation. It's just the fact that you give people a chance to get away from the front. It helps them build their confidence. Being in that position, it will give them the nerves starting off the front. But if they can convert that into a lead, even if it's for a couple of laps the first time they do it, it's superb as Heisman gets stuck in as well once again. Nicky Taylor in the mix just ahead of these guys. John Jones just behind, dicing with Dave Heisman. He's going to look to the outside. Heisman, I think, has managed to consolidate that place as Piercy. Now the gap's come down from 4 to 3.6 seconds. Elliot Dalton Ayres is on a mission ahead of these guys.
I assume that Joel Lask was beaten up a little bit, to be honest, again, because he was right with Heisman and Taylor, and now he's behind John Jones, and a second behind John Jones, actually. He's got Craig Curtis for company more than anybody else. So, yeah, Joel Lask not having the night to remember that he would be hoping, but Nicky Taylor taking full advantage of it, it seems, because he's only moving forward. Thomas Potter is still within a second of Josh Martin, so he's not going to get caught immediately, but you can probably bet that Nicky Taylor will be amongst the conversation for the podium towards the end of this race. He's got a fair old bit to catch up, but if they start fighting in front of him, especially if they catch up to Lee Piercy, which they have managed to cut half a second out of him on that previous, in fact more than that, Elliot Dalton Ayres with a 1 minute 20.3.
Wow.
Lee Piercy at 1 minute 21 dead, so 0.7 of a second, and that's been slightly generous to Lee Piercy on that lap.
It is. Now, points-wise, Nicky Taylor is 3 points adrift of Joel Lask. So Joel Lask's drop scores fighting and working for him. Still has the championship lead. Despite my computations, there was going to be a 13-point lead. That was if the drop scores didn't ratchet in, but they did. Elliot Dalton Ayres 191 now, so still within shouting distance perhaps of second place. But Lask grimly holding on to the lead by virtue of the drop scores. And that's the beauty of this. If you have to drop around, as we watch Josh Martin still all over the back of Elliot Dalton Ayres. Thomas Potter still there behind. Running well here in this fourth place at the moment. Again, a good, strong run from the youngster who's learning. Can't wait to see him at one of the scholarships if I'm still involved over the next couple of seasons. That'll be great. We'll have plenty to talk about when he comes in for his interview, if he does those. Here they come, up Woodham Hill. And let's see what Josh Martin can do. Josh will be delighted to get back onto the podium for sure after race number 1. And adding more points to his cannon here. Remember, Josh 6 in the championship. I don't think he's going to close in on Andy Carroll today, or perhaps Brad Smith. Where is Brad in this one? Down in 18th place. So he's going to pull away from Brad here. And at the moment, Dalton Ayres is pulling away from Josh momentarily. The gap 2.3. Piercy's still doing a good job out front, and he's maintaining it. He's going to disappear over the next 15 minutes, one would imagine, but he's still doing a super job in lead position, which he's done from the start.
Yeah, I think it's actually probably going to disappear within the next 4 minutes or so as Craig Curtis, Joel Lask, Nathan Smith are all having a good battle now. Craig Curtis has gotten past Joel Lask and is driving off and is overtaking John Jones. Don't know where Heisman's down in 11th place. He must have fallen off somewhere. As Andy Carroll's actually in the background of this little fight, involved with Lask in this sort of 2 at the front, 3 at the back sort of melee that we've got going on. John Jones is leading it with Craig Curtis in 7th place. There's Joel Lask having a bit of a battle with Nathan Smith, and then there is Andy Carroll, race 1 podium sitter. Of course, he came second. Not had the race that Elliot Dalton Ayres has had. He wasn't able to manage to get through quite as efficiently. still not terrible for him. Joel Lask, though, he cannot get to grips with this car, with this track, this combinational weight. He cannot get there. And he's, well, he's having a good battle. I'm sure he's probably enjoying his race, but he won't be enjoying the fact that it's for about 7th position as he goes round the outside. Big drift. I think he ended up getting a tap. He manages to hold it, cuts the corner. He's going to have to give those places back.
Yeah, he will. He knows the score, does Joel. So he's up to 7th position at the moment. The gap now, Piercy, down to 2 seconds. Elliot Dalton is about to, for the first time, cutting it under 2 seconds. It went down to 1.9, but as Piercy accelerates away, the gap goes out to 2.2, 2.3 seconds. Again, Josh Martin still there in 3rd and harrying him, trying maybe to work together with the 2nd place car to close down on Lee Piercy, who's out front, still doing a super job. There is Lask, still ahead of Jones and Andy Carroll. Nat Smith in the mix as well. Nathan Smith having a go. Great to see the announcement that his dad's going back to Division 1 of the British Truck Racing Association Championship. They will, of course, be here at Thruxton, hopefully not destroying the walls as they did last year. But again, a terrific spectacle to enjoy here at Thruxton in the summer. As Lash tries to get away, he's got so much work to do. Back to Josh Martin, though. It's Nicky Taylor now ahead of Thomas Potter for 4th place, and Martin's going to have a go. Looks very wide as they go into the chicane. This might now be all about momentum. So he'll carry as much speed as he can through the chicane. Well, having said that, loses out big time to Elliot Dalton-Ayres, who goes away. Here is Joel Lask again, going through in 7th position. Nathan Smith in 8th. John Jones is next up. There is Nathan now looking on the inside run. Gets his nose in front, grabs a little bit of curb there, but Lask has got slightly the better momentum as they head out of Allard. John Jones coming up in the mix as well in 10th position. So a very good 4-way squabble here.
Yeah, it is actually. John Jones, well, pretty quickly makes it a 3-way squabble though, doesn't he? By going off the circuit and dropping back. But Nathan Smith, yeah, Andy Carroll and Joel Lask having a right good ding-dong with each other. Nathan Smith not quite on all the circuit there as they go down to start this lap. 12 minutes to go. And I have to say, I think Dalton-Ayres and Josh Martin must have had a little bit of a scrap a couple of laps ago, because really, Lee Piercy got about 3 or 4 tenths quicker, but Elliot Dalton-Ayres was about half a second slower. So Josh Martin absolutely scrubbing up the final chicane will give Elliot Dalton-Ayres the impetus to then go put in some fastest laps, hopefully some purple sectors for his sake in terms of the championship, and catch up to Lee Piercy, because of course the fastest lap of the race is good for 3 points, which is a pretty big actually amount of points, isn't it, Richard, in terms of for fastest lap? Normally it's only 1, if that.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Lee Piercy, let's not forget that his best result here was 6th place. And that was in a race 1, so based on his qualifying position, not reverse grid, and that was race 3, round 2 at Silverstone. So he's used to being up at the sharp end and showing, but now the gap's come down again, 1.7 seconds. So if he's going to get caught, I'm sure he's going to have a great race with Dalton-Ayres and Martin. 10 minutes to go, so we're well past half distance as we look at Nathan Smith still getting stuck in. Andy Carroll trying to work his way through the order as well. It is a 3-way battle now, isn't it? John Jones not recovering from that off that he had at the complex on the previous lap. Sam Walton in 11th place, then Dave Heasman in 12th is recovering from some earlier misdemeanors as well. Yeah, fastest lap with Elliot Dalton-Ayres at the moment. As Nathan Smith continues on his way. Nicky Taylor still in 4th. There is Nicky's Billy No Mates at the moment. In no man's land really in terms of battling, trying to do all he can to close down on Josh Martin, but 4.4 seconds down. Thomas Potter still in a very healthy and strong 5th place, so he's running well. He's got 1.5 seconds over Craig Curtis and Joel Lask at the moment. So Tom doing his utmost at the moment as we now dip under 10 minutes remaining of our second race of the evening. Back with the 71 car in P2.
It feels like a race 1, doesn't it, to be honest, Richard? After the first sort of 5 minutes of squabbling, once everybody got through into their sort of where they are now, I suppose, which maybe it took 10 minutes or so, it does feel like it's sort of mellowed out. You don't really know where the action's going to come from. Everyone is about a second or over between them. This is probably, well, the reason why we're focusing on this actually is because it's the closest battle we've got out there, isn't it? With Joel Lask Walton and Nathan Smith. Walton sort of enjoying himself, and Joel Last just slipping further down. He can't catch the likes of John Jones. No offense to John Jones, but a championship leader is not wanting to be being dropped into 10th position. That's really very, very damaging to their results. But it's a good performance by John Jones, actually, to be fair, because normally when he starts at the front, we see him drop right outside the top 10. Maybe he gets caught up in an incident, but he's there in 8th place, and as I said, he's probably there on merit in terms of speed. So fair play to John Jones.
Yeah, very definitely looking for his second top 10 of the campaign in race 2s, as well as we see Craig Curtis now hunting down Tom Potter. So this is going to be for 5th position. Tom will be looking in his virtual mirrors, and what happened there? A little bit of a glitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be connection issue. I have been looking at Craig Curtis. I thought that was getting pressed, but it's Craig Curtis, isn't it? His ping is truly horrendous. Normally, everybody's ping is about 30 to 40 and 20. Craig Curtis is at 3,380, which means that basically the connection is bad. You don't want it to be above 50. If you're above 50, you're struggling. And as I said, at that moment in time when we saw him, he was at 3,000. So there we go. Potentially he's DNF'd actually. So I would imagine he's either disconnected completely and it's not his fault, or he's teleported back to the pits and decided he doesn't want to take anybody else out.
Very probably. So we'll see how that pans out. Now John Jones has gone up to 7th at the expense of Tom Potter. Was that due to Tom maybe having a virtual clatter, or not quite sure how these things work? So yeah, it is. Thanks, Rich, for pointing that out. So with Craig, so hard lines to Tom Potter. It's still in 7th place, and John Jones is now up into 6th and having a good run. Piercy now 1.5 seconds. Excuse me, 1.4 ahead of Elliot Dalton-Ayres, with Josh Martin in 3rd. Elliot Dalton-Ayres still trying to close in. Josh Martin not that far behind, but not close enough to challenge. But could still change with 7 minutes to go. But we're very much looking at whether the 2nd place man can close in on the race leader, Lee Piercy, who's done an absolutely fantastic job at the start of this race. As we said, we've seen him up with the sharp end runners in fastest off the front earlier on in the season at Silverstone, and he's done superbly here, and this would be great for his confidence. But Elliot Dalton-Ayres closing in, now gets the gap to under a second, so the challenge for the lead is going to come very, very soon, I feel.
Yeah, I was going to say, he actually was quicker than Elliot in that last lap by about 0.3 of a second, but in the first sector alone, he dropped 2.5 tenths, and you can see on your screens that actually, to be fair, through the mid section of the track, I think Lee Piercy's slightly stronger. Maybe that's something to do with the fact that Lee Piercy has a distinct lack of weight compared to Elliot Dalton-Ayres. I'm actually trying to look at how much weight that Lee Piercy has. I can't find it. He's 13th in the championship with 0 kilograms of ballast on board. Yeah, so his tyres will be one of the freshest out there. He hasn't had anybody to deal with. He hasn't had any problems. He should be sort of flying towards the end of this race as we see John Jones stage exit left and hitting a wall. Oh, not quite rolling, but he's going to go over the track. He gets lucky, doesn't collect anybody else.
Yeah, that had classic real world mini action written all over it. Had a couple of rollovers here last year, and obviously had some pretty nasty ones in Ginetta at that point in the track as well over the seasons, which don't really bear talking about. But it's Piercy from Dalton-Ayres still closing up at the moment. We're looking at Joel Lask still there, closing down on with Nathan Smith rather ahead of Joel Lask, closing down on Thomas Potter, who's still there actually in 6th position now, with John Jones disappearing off. John Jones recovering, or not recovering, actually down in 15th now, so he's going to be out of it. As Lass really having to struggle here, isn't he? As you said, he's got the ballast on board, but Nathan Smith giving him a good old workout, the pair of them, trying to close down on Tom Potter, which they have done as they come through Campbell, now up to Combe and then Seagrave, and Potter just leaves half a door open. Nathan Smith clatters the curbs to have a look on the inside. That dishevels the car a little bit, so just stops his momentum momentarily, but he'll start to build up again and put Potter under a little bit more pressure as Lass gets stuck in as well. So it's a three-way battle for 6.
Yeah, I think Potter will be hoping that Lass can do him a favour and go for the lunge, but to go towards Church, Potter has opened the door. He's left it a little bit too open. And Nathan Smith looks at the inside, and Joel Lask, he'll be better just to wait and bide his time. That's exactly what he's doing. Go for the racing line. Potter misses the apex. Lask up the inside. He's going to take Potter's position. He may well get the run down on Nathan Smith as well and get 2 in 1 as they go in towards the final couple of corners within 5 minutes now. That might be the Joel Lask that we know and love here at VRRC, as Potter goes for the lunge on Smith and hits him off the circuit. Oh dear, no.
Nathan.
That's going to
dear,
be
that's
a discussion on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely right. Hard lines, Thomas and Nathan as well, for being punted off there. Nathan was on for a very, very good result there. But again, that's mini racing, and these things happen on track. And following the action on track, of course, there are the judicials, which will sort everything out, and everybody would have learned from it. So the great thing about the virtual side of it is that you don't have to repair the car afterwards and fork out a huge amount of money. I saw some juniors having their first Fiesta races at the weekend, and there was a little bit of damage, shall we say, on a couple of cars, which I think, you know, real world racing really does bite and hit you in the wallet, if not physically.
Absolutely,
It's,
yeah. It's one of the worst feelings, actually, Richard. I have to say, I've been unfortunate enough to have crashed into someone, been taken to the steward's office. You obviously get the book thrown at you. You feel awful. And then you just about get over it after about a week and a half. Then all of a sudden the bill comes through, and you think, "Oh God, I'm by far not over this." And it took me about 6 months to get over one particular round at Croft. But it was, it can be really demoralising. It can actually write people out of championships as well.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
It wasn't that expensive. No, Richard was just pointing out and trying to take the mick out of me. So I say, how much did it cost when I drove into the wall at Donington? That wasn't that bad, actually. Luckily, Janetta, and the way I hit it, it was only really the front sort of bumpers that actually got busted off there. It wasn't at the end of the world sort of thing. But if I had hit that a little bit harder, then yeah, that would have been pretty disastrous.
Yeah, once you get into chassis deformation and stuff like that, it's not so good, is it? Elliot Dalton is still closing in. Lee Pearcey, as I say, has driven a stonker so far. 2 minutes 26 on the clock. Now, I think we're getting into the realms of saying that Lee could win this one.
Yeah, to be honest, he's been really very impressive. As I said, he hasn't got any kilograms of ballast on board. Elliot Dalton and Josh Martin have had to do a lot of work to get into the position they are. But Lee Pearcey, I mean, wow, his lap times have stayed really consistent. He was actually, again, about a tenth quicker than Elliot Dalton on that last one. It went to within about 0.8 of a second at one point. He's now eked out to 1.5. And to be fair, when in the last complex and in the first complex, he struggled. But in the mid-sector of this track, he is absolutely flying, and they can't get near him. And really, that's the most important sector, isn't it, Richard? Because that's the point where people set up the move into the final corners. And if they can't get close enough to him, he's scot-free.
Still a lap and a half to go, so it could still change. And you can see Dalton trying to close down again. Josh Martin getting closer to Elliott as well. Nicky Taylor still in 4th place. Andy Carroll 5th. Joel Lass now up to 6th position. And then Paul Laramie, the timing tower, having a little bit of a sort out as Pearcey makes his way through. So yeah, this will be the penultimate lap. Thomas Potter down in 11th after a good, strong opening, and Elliot Dalton is still trying to close down. But it looks like we might see another new winner potentially. We're either going to see a new winner or a 5th-time winner. But Pearcey, as I say, absolutely driven superbly from pole.
He has indeed, yeah, but I think Elliot Dalton won't be necessarily thinking about forward. He might be thinking about backwards. Lee Pearcey will not probably see this in his rearview mirrors unless he's religious about looking at them at every single opportunity. But he may well get a bit of an easier run than he would actually expect if Josh Martin starts to put the pressure on Elliot Dalton. Josh, who obviously didn't quite get the finish in race 1 that he was hoping for. He may well be on the podium. In fact, it'd be quite interesting to hear his side of the story, because we've got Nicky's side of the story. We wonder what Josh will have to say about that race 1 incident, but he could get the podium here. He could even get 2nd place. We'll have to wait and see, but it looks like they're actually pulling Lee Pearcey in a little bit. It's about 2nd. He's dropped half a second.
Yeah, Lee Pearcey is certainly under a little bit of pressure, but he's soaked it up race long so far in terms of watching that blue number 71 car get closer and closer as we've gone through. We were predicting he was going to catch you within a couple of laps, and he hasn't done that, Elliot Dalton. There's Elliot in his post-race 1 interview saying he would be happy with the top 10 here, so get into P2 has been an absolutely superb job for him. But Pearcey will head down towards Church for the last time with a decent enough lead, barring any massive problems surely is going to hold on to take his first win in the CAMMUS JCW Mini Cup, powered by Phoenix Racing here on the Thruxton configuration. Up Woodham Hill for the last time and up towards the club chicane. All looking good, Jack.
It is, yeah. He's got plenty of room. He just needs to not hit any of these tyre barriers. The checkered flag is about to drop. Lee Piercy, for the first time in his VRRC career, is going to take a race win here, and he's absolutely buzzing, I imagine. If you could see the virtual, see the person in the virtual cockpit, he'd probably be pumping his fist right now. Elliot Dalton Ayres in second place, a good end to his evening, and I think that's pretty much identical positions that he was actually in Anglesey, a race win and a second place. Josh Martin finally gets himself onto the podium. As I said, he probably felt like he deserved to be there after race one. He wasn't for whatever circumstance, and here he is, though, in race two, making a bit of amends. Nicky Taylor came home in fourth place. Andy Carroll inside the top five yet again. Joel Lask managing to just about rescue his sixth place. It looked like at one point that he wasn't even going to finish inside the top 10. Nathan Smith, Paul Laramie, Walton, and Heisman round out the top 10. And we'll be able to have a chat to our three podium sitters who all drive in unison back down to the pit after this short break.
What great evenings racing we have had. And well, as you know, I did 1 and 3 in race one. We switched things around for race two. So 3 and 1 will be done by Jack. I'll let you kick things off on the podium.
Yeah, thank you very much, Richard. We're going to go third place first, and that will be Josh Martin. We have quite a lot to talk about, Josh. I'm going to take you back to race one, though, first.
Oh, please don't.
Give us your view. We've got Nicky's view on air. Well, give us your view.
I need to watch the replay before I can say too much. But from my point of view, I was minding my own business. And then next thing I knew, I had a car driving into the back corner of me. And then I was in a wall. So make of that what you will.
Well, that is a slightly different story than what Nicky had. So I was expecting that, to be fair. But let's start with race two. First of all, big congratulations. Third place. You probably felt like that's sort of the area you should have been in race one. Do you feel like you sort of made amends?
I felt I should have won race one, to be completely honest. My pace, I felt was really strong. I think I had the fastest lap in both races as well. But yeah, I made it was working quite well actually. I was in the tow with Elliot, it's helping me save my tires a little bit. And I made a mistake of about 10 minutes to go going into the chicane. I just broke too late, and then I lost like a second and a bit to Elliot and Lee being so fast and consistent at the end. And with Elliot being so fast and consistent, the gaps just weren't really changing. I was only gaining by like 1 or 2 tenths of that. So I'd have needed like a 40-minute race to catch up.
I was going to say, your qualifying time, though, was absolutely electric, wasn't it? I mean, we didn't see it, I'll be honest. But I'm sort of stirring a pot here, but are you confident that it was completely legal? Because we've obviously, it's been a discussion. Rich has said it in the briefing and everything like that, so it's been a point of discussion on the broadcast as well. You confident?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had time in that lap in the first sector, to be fair, and then the second sector I had a really good run through Church, because there's like a bump on the inside, and where you're trying to stay within track limits, if you're like a foot or whatever slightly wide, there's a big bump and it pushes you wide, but there's a fine gap between the bump and getting the cut track. And yeah, I nailed that, and that straight away gave me like 2-3 tenths. my Delta, and then the chicane I just had a clean run through it to pick up a bit of understeer in the middle, which pushed me quite close to track limits on the final bit. But no, as far as I'm aware, it was legal. But we'll
Well,
see.
fantastic. I mean, so you can really just enjoy that third place, can't you? Really? I mean, you obviously said there was a little bit of a struggle towards the end in the chicane, but very quickly for the final sort of question, talk us through the early stages of that race because we thought there was going to be carnage, but you managed to sort of calmly poke your way through.
Yeah, I kind of took the same approach in both races, really, because I knew the tyre wear was going to be horrendous. So it's just trying to keep my tyres best in check. I could help being a bit lighter this round helped a lot with that as well. But yeah, I was just trying to keep smooth, stay out of trouble, and yeah, just keep a clean car because again, you don't want like bumper damage or whatever around this track. So it'll just slow you down so much, and yeah, just kind of kept myself out of the way, let people fall off around me, and streamed up through the pack at the start.
I thought you were going to say you don't want the bumper damage because you'll have to pay for it. I was about to remind you that's the luxury of sim racing. But yeah, no, fantastic. Josh, big congratulations on third place. Commiserations about the first race, obviously. These things happen, unfortunately. But hopefully you found the pace now and we'll see you at Brands Hatch even stronger.
Yeah, if this was real life, I'd have been bankrupt by now. The amount of damage repairs I'd have had.
Luckily, it's not, is it? That is, again, the beauty of the sim world.
Yeah, you got the good old reset button.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations, Josh. We'll speak to you next time, maybe.
Hopefully. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Josh. Well done. And let's go up a step. Poor old Elliot Dalton gets to talk to me again, having won race one, and it's me doing the honours for race two. You said top 10, but top two and nearly a win.
Yeah, I mean, I am absolutely exhausted. I mean, I was pushing so hard to try and get Lee, and it was working for a bit, but then I think I just cooked my tires, and then I just started dropping back. And then I think on the last lap, Lee was slowing down a bit, and that allowed me to catch up, but it just wasn't enough. Maybe another lap, or maybe another lap, and I might have had him. But no, congrats to Lee. I think it's his first win, but other than that, yeah, really good.
Absolutely superb. Championship wise, you were joint third, but you've consolidated that now. We've got Andy Carroll up to fourth, chasing you best he can. Brad Smith down to fifth. You're actually only 16 points now off Joel Lask, having not taken part in the first two rounds. So it's a mega performance, isn't it, in the rounds you've done?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done too much practice with this car, but I think I just for some reason I'm just clicking with this mini, and I haven't changed my setup one bit since Castle Combe, I think it was.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, apart from tire pressures, and I think I went one up on suspension. But for some reason, I'm just getting this car right, and hopefully we can continue this into Brands.
Yeah, Brands Grand Prix is a track that it's a. I don't like the phrase everyone says, "Oh, it's a driver's track," as opposed to what a chef's track, or I don't know. But it's a bit. What out of the tracks you've done virtually, would you take as being the one you'd want to race the most in the real world? Get a car out on.
Oh, yeah, probably Croft. It's either Croft or Oulton. I mean, I know Oulton do like little F4 cars or something, which would be good fun, but Croft's about half an hour away from me, so that's probably the most convenient, and in my opinion, is probably the best track in the UK. So yeah, probably
All right,
Croft.
what is it? What is it that makes it the best track in the UK, apart from it being local to you?
I just like the flow of it. For some
Right.
reason, I just really like it.
Yeah, we've had some good moments there over the years. So obviously we're looking forward to Brands Hatch GP, and 16 points isn't insurmountable, is it? To maybe that's your target, isn't it, for Joel now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is from Nicky, but I think Nicky's in the lead, isn't he? 20. Oh,
Yeah,
it's still possible. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I think at the moment, I'm gonna try and go for it. I mean, it'll be a challenge, but it's nice to set the sights high and just absolutely go for it at Brands and see what happens.
Extra practice time then this week.
Ooh, I might, but I don't like to overwork myself and get annoyed with the track, and then it just crumbles from there. So
Is that a thing? Is that seriously a thing that?
with me, I'll get annoyed with it and I'll just start overdriving, and then everything goes pieces. So yeah, maybe like I don't know how many I did at Thruxton, but it seems to be about the 50 mark, I think. But yeah, I'll see how I do.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting dynamic, Elliot. Actually, I have to ask other drivers about that. So yeah, it's quite good. But anyway, well done, mate. Another podium. Super stuff, mate. Really good entertainment
Yeah, cheers, Rich.
this weekend, and we'll catch you next week, mate. Look forward to that.
Yeah, thank you.
And finally, it's going to be the way of a P1 debutante. It's Lee Piercy. Lee, a massive congratulations. You must be buzzing with that.
I am, yes. Thank you very much. It's I think it was the longest 25 minutes to lead into turn one, and I think at 19 minutes see Elliot in second place, and I was like, oh no, here comes the gap, and I just tried to try and save the front tyre as much as I could, sort of not push too hard, just to hopefully at the end where he's pushing to catch me, hopefully their tyres had gone off. But yeah, it was a long time on my own, that's for sure.
Well, I hope you're not insulted, Lee, but I'll take you through my timeline of that race. At 25 minutes, I wasn't necessarily backing you. At 20 minutes, I wasn't necessarily backing you. 15 minutes, and Elliot Dalton-Ayres and Josh Martin were there. I wasn't either. Neither was I at 10 or 5. It took me to 3 minutes to go where I thought, my God, he's actually absolutely nailed this. You were so consistent throughout the entire race. Not necessarily the fastest, but so consistent. Isn't that a bit of a testament to putting the practice laps in and knowing sort of how quick you can go for that race distance?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I'm very new to sim racing. I only built my rig over Christmas, so it's in real life I've always been able to be very consistent lap after lap after lap. It's been one of my things, but actually racing on the sim around other people is the biggest thing I've been struggling with. I've been talking to a lot of the other boys. Actually, close quarters racing each other is something I've really struggled with. So actually, when I'm on my own and now I'm getting more and more comfortable, I was quite confident that I could just keep the lap after lap after lap. The biggest thing that's worried me all round is the track limits, which I know a lot of people have spoke about, and that final chicane which caught me out in race one. And I knew I was losing time through there with Elliot, but every time I looked in my mirrors, I thought, oh, he's very close to the track limits there. He's coming, but he's so close to cutting. I don't want to cut myself. So yeah, but honestly, with the way my sim racing career has started, I wasn't backing myself with 5 minutes to go either. So, so there's no offence taken.
It was mainly the strength of the two behind you, rather than your weakness, Lee. I can assure you. Do you think that's the opportunity for you now to take the next step? Because you're sort of like you're fighting for that top 10 spots, aren't you? Do you think you could potentially start fighting for that closer to 5th position and consistently? Do you think now you've got that confidence? I know Richard said in the commentary, reverse grids are brilliant because once you get into the lead, if you lead it for a couple of laps or 5 laps or 10 laps, or you build that confidence. Do you think you've taken a massive amount of confidence from tonight?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing I need more confidence-wise is racing closely with other cars. That's in the practice sessions, a bit the same as Elliot. Every time I do too many laps, you do get very frustrated with the track and you start chasing too much. But so my pace, generally the last, since round 3, 4, really, we've been consistently top 10, sometimes top 5, top 4 on the server when we've been practicing. But as soon as it comes to race day, it's kind of gone to pot a little bit. So being at the front, I was thinking, right, okay, let's try and keep it together. So I think doing more and more races, getting used to racing in close quarters with people actually on the sim, then yeah, I think I don't see any reason why we can't be, challenging these guys nearer the front. Obviously, I think when we start gaining some weight penalties, then it's going to be a new learning curve for me on here as well. But yeah, confidence-wise is growing. Try not to get frustrated when it does go wrong, and yeah, hopefully we'll be back chatting to you guys again soon.
Well, that's it. The last question, really, from me, Lee, was going to be about the next major championship, because, of course, I think that means we're heading back to more familiar territory with you, isn't it? You're a rear-wheel drive BMW man, aren't you?
Yeah, hopefully not too many people know that I was BMW Car Club champion last season, because that not in 22. So
well, everybody knows now.
Yeah.
You haven't done that well at keeping it a secret.
Yeah, so there's a good grid of us on, good bunch of us on here from the BMW Championship. I've had a little go in the car that Richard's put together, and it's a great car, to be fair, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's some of the BMWs I've drove at sort of the start of the year felt very odd in the sim. So I have to say what Rich has done with the car for the next championship feels very real life. It's I've been racing BMWs for the last 4 years, so yeah, it should hopefully, if we can learn to race in the pack and the pace is there, we yeah, looking forward to it, actually. Really looking forward to it.
Well, there we go. Lee Piercy giving the stamp of approval on the BMW, whilst also trying to angle for that free membership off Rich, I think. But nothing to do with what you just said, Lee, but we have decided to give you the driver of the round, mainly because that, as I just said, it's sort of that second race, so consistent, very quick. We were so impressed with it.
Thank you. Could I just say a quick hello to one of the youngest supporters you've probably got on the channel, little Jude, little 5-year-old. Tomorrow morning, breakfast time before school, it's his highlight of his week. I get messages from his dad and his granddad every week that he gets up early for school, and he's got a collection of toy cars now that he plays at the weekend, and it's Lee Piercy's crashed again, so Nicky Taylor's taken the lead. Has been the apparently was the commentary all weekend. So actually, I'm looking forward to this weekend's commentary. So good morning, little Jude. Enjoy your breakfast, and probably good morning to my 2 kids as well, Hadley and Ava, because I think they'll probably watch it over breakfast as well. So yeah, hello to them.
Fantastically, that's very, very sweet indeed. I used to watch Pokemon when before school, but sim racing.
How times have changed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Lee, and hopefully we'll speak to you another time.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Many congratulations, Lee Piercy. Superb stuff. And yeah, when I was young, we didn't have television in the morning. Believe it or not, that's how flipping old I am. But we've got the oldest runner, the oldest figure in town. Round 8, sadly, our final event next time, and be lovely to be involved in future ones if we can. But I think Rich, you're going to talk about next week.
Yeah, we can do. Yeah, so next week's last round, Brands Hatch GP. So it's one of our we use Brands Hatch GP quite a lot to end championships. I quite like it. It's one of those great circuits, and I agree with you when you say what is it if it's not a driver's circuit, Richard. So yeah, but it's a great circuit. Lots of room out there. The drivers love it as well. So looking forward to the climax to this championship and seeing who's going to come out on top out of those top 3.
Jack, looking forward to joining you again next week as well. But this year is sort of gelling more and more, isn't it? It's been really good week.
Absolutely, yeah. No, been thrilling stuff. It's not been anywhere near as much drama and action as I thought it would. Well, calamity, should I say? Actually, probably than I thought it would be. Thruxton normally pings a lot of people for that. We'll have to wait and see for the judicials, and obviously all the penalties that get applied. But at the moment, it looks like Nicky Taylor's taking the championship lead going into that final round by about 4 points. So looking forward to seeing Brands Hatch next week for the last round of the CAMMUS Mini Cup. See you next week.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye for now. Take care.